In last Thursday's blog post, I said that the things I wanted to tackle this week would be doing more level prefabs, fixing background decoration around destructible tiles, getting spawn points working for hanging enemies and flying enemies, and then starting to work on some new system of treasure chests that can spawn items, which would work differently than the way item pickups and treasure chests have worked in the past and how they worked in Gunmetal Arcadia 0. And I did get all of those things at least stubbed out in some fashion, and I'll show those off here in a minute. But I also ended up spending a lot of time this week working on something that I hadn't anticipated, which was getting some UI stuff hooked up for what I'm calling the legacy system. This goes back to some of my earliest discussions about what Gunmetal Arcadia would be. This is the idea that every time you play, your current session is being immediately and directly influenced by things that happened in your previous session. So this is a way of hopefully tempering the frustration of permadeath. You know, this is a roguelike or roguelite game. It does have permadeath. But when you die, I don't want you to feel like you lose all of your progress. So things that have happened in the previous session are going to have consequences on your next session. So you can feel like there's still this sort of like rolling series of events from one play session to another. And I've had a framework for sort of identifying those events and the reactions they cause for maybe a month or two now. I really only have like one piece of test content in there. And the authoring all those events will be somewhere down the road in the future. But until just this week, I didn't really have a way to visualize those when you're playing the game. So now I've added when you hit like the select or back button to bring up the status menu, in addition to your item inventory, you can also look at what's called the legacy, which is a list of all of the events that happened in the previous session and the results of those on your current session. You also have the option now when you are selecting a save file to disable those legacy events if you just want to have what I would call like a vanilla playthrough. So it just starts you with a base character exactly as it would be like the first time you play the game. And yeah, you can disable and enable those as much as you want. It's sort of saved per save file. I'll be showing all that off here in a second. So the one other thing I need to mention for this build is also it's up on gunmetalarcadia.com if you want to go there and download it and play through it yourself. You can do that. But the one thing I need to mention is that I've been doing some work with randomized palettes. So right now, every single room in the game has a different color palette applied. Some of them look terrible. Some of them look really cool, but yeah, that's not how the game is going to ship. That's just some test work that I'm doing right now, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I'll go ahead and start playing here and hopefully run into some of the cases that I'm talking about. Oh, you know what? I should not launch the game from the editor this time. It's fine. I'll just go back to the title screen. Oh, that's a new thing. It will tell you now if you end a game in progress. It'll say like it's counted as a death, so you do get like -1 streak in that case. So what you'll see here, I have a negative streak on file 1, a positive streak on file 2, and then at the bottom of the screen you'll see that circle says disable legacy. So I come up here. You'll notice between these two files, I get 2 extra empty hearts added. That's part of these legacy effects. Because I died on the previous session, it's going to start me with a higher health cap. I can hit circle and it will disable that. And you see it brings my hearts back down to the normal cap, so these two are the same. I can enable or disable those. Whichever character I choose, it adds that extra 2 to the health cap. Whereas on this file it doesn't. And of course I can disable that if I want. So yeah, it's a totally optional thing. If you want to just do vanilla playthroughs every time, you can do that. Also, like let's say I go up to file 1 and hit disable. File 2 is still enabled, so I can sort of switch between these, and you can see it's the button prompt at the bottom is reflecting that this one is disabled and this one isn't. So yeah. I'll go ahead and turn the legacy back on and go ahead and start a session here. And I need to replace that screen. So, yeah, this room actually looks kind of cool. A green background and sort of reddish brick. And kind of like a burnt sienna brick. So if I hit the select or back button, now instead of just going straight to my inventory, it gives me this screen first. So I can choose inventory or legacy. If I go to inventory, this looks exactly like it did in Gunmetal Arcadia 0. If I go to legacy, it will show anything that happened in the previous event and the results of that. So I have this event called Medevac. You fell in combat, you have been granted an extra 2 empty hearts, so my health cap has increased. That is actually probably way too good of a bonus. I think in reality I might raise that. Oh, that's a fantastic background right there. But yeah, in reality I might raise the health cap by 1 if you died on the previous session. Maybe if you successfully complete a session, increase your health cap and also give you that heart as opposed to just giving you an empty heart. Eventually, too, I'm probably going to have something akin to the blue hearts in the Binding of Isaac. It may not work exactly the same, they may not look the same, they may be like shields or armor instead of blue hearts, which that was a suggestion David had, was making it like armor or something. I think that works well and sort of fits the sort of Zelda-ish vibes of this game. But yeah, I'll probably do that too, and I think that will give me more room to play around with, the sorts of bonuses that could be applied by these legacy events. Because generally, you do want them to be bonuses. You don't want them to be penalties. That would not be fun. Okay. So here's something that I've been wanting to show off. This is a blue treasure chest. So blue treasure chests are going to drop collectible items, similar to like the pedestal items in Binding of Isaac. So instead of money, this is going to give me, in this case it gives me the knife sub-weapon, because right now that's the only thing to do. Also, it's going to crash when I do that, apparently. I'm not sure what that's about. That's the first time I've seen it crash there. That's unfortunate. Just gonna sip my energy drink here. I think that's actually pretty much all the new stuff that I've done this week. Some of these color palettes are really cool, and just like walking through these sort of randomized levels, randomized color palettes, and giving me some good ideas for what I actually want to do with these. You can see a little bit here how these destructible tiles have some shadowing around them now, which this is probably what they're going to end up shipping like. I might put like the sort of like dark, just spotted tile in the background behind these here, so it's not just solid black, but we'll see. Trying to think if there's anything else that I've done this week that I wanted to show off on camera. NPCs, I think we're already in there last week. The way NPCs are placed in there now is a little bit smarter. Typically you won't have like a healer or like an inn show up right at the beginning of a level, because that's kind of pointless. So now typically if you do see those, they will be closer to the mini boss or final boss fight. There's still more work I need to do with balancing how often those show up, so you wouldn't see like the same vendor back to back, like in adjacent rooms. One thing that I did, I talked about a little bit about this on last week's video, was the idea of weighting the selection of prefabs so you don't see the same ones very frequently or very near each other. I am doing that now. I believe the way it works, I need to look at my code again, but I think it will try not to ever choose the same prefab within the same room. So unless there are literally no other options, you'll never see the same prefab in the same room. So that helps keep things at least a little bit fresh. Yeah, there's an example of one of the hanging enemies. They're offset a little bit. I haven't figured out why that is yet. I haven't looked into it at all, but I am sort of getting those different types of enemies in here. Same thing with like the alien eggs that can spawn the little slime blobs. Those should start showing up in some of these builds. Yeah, it's been another really productive week, and the game's looking a little bit better every week. So yeah, if you want to download this and give it a try yourself, I'd be curious to hear your feedback. I'll go ahead and stop that there. Yeah, I guess that's about it for this week. My camera is running low on batteries. I'm worried it's going to click off at any moment, so I guess I'll just go ahead and wrap this up. As always, thanks for watching. This series is supported through Patreon. I wanted to give a shout out to Patreon supporters Jace, Benjamin, and Opa and Nana for their contributions. You can find the links to my Patreon campaign below. You can also find the links to the playable build if you want to give this a try yourself. And thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.